Well, the Trump campaign is forcefully responding to a 60 Minutes interview with Vice President Biden, where the former vice president says it's improper for President Trump's children to have offices in the White House. The candidate spoke with CBS Evening News anchor and managing editor, we know her well, Norah O'Donnell, at his Delaware home. Biden addressed the president's attacks on his son Hunter. He also spoke about the campaign and his standing as a frontrunner.
Let's talk about the state of the race, because it has tightened. Do you still consider yourself the frontrunner?
I know I'm the frontrunner. Find me a national poll, with a couple exceptions, the last 4 that have come out. But look, this is a marathon.
Yes.
This is a marathon.
You can look at the last campaign finance filing. We looked at that. You have less than $9 million in the bank. Bernie Sanders has nearly $34 million in the bank. Senator Warren has $26 million. How do you compete against that?
I just flat beat them. We're on course to do extremely well. I'm not worried about being able to fund this campaign. I really am not, truly.
And Norah O'Donnell's back. Welcome back to the table.
Good to be back. Hey, guys.
So what are you thinking, Norah O'Donnell, about Sunday?
Well, look, it's a pretty stunning interview. I mean, it's a wide-ranging interview. You hear the vice president declaring himself the front runner in her poll. He said he got into this race because it's a battle for the soul of the nation. But right now, it's a battle for the soul of the Democratic Party. And Jill Biden proudly declares him a moderate in this interview. And he talks about Medicare for all. He says, how about truth for all? You know, Biden is promising steady, stable leadership. You have Warren and Sanders promising bold, radical change.
Yeah, he's fluctuating in the polls. So how is he competing against Sanders?
Well, he's actually been consistent in the national polls. What we see, though, is that he's not doing as well in Iowa and New Hampshire, strong in South Carolina. But this is the larger strategy, which is why I asked that question about fundraising. Biden can do well in the first 4 states, not necessarily have to win, because it's about 150 delegates. He has to do well Super Tuesday.
Super Tuesday.
Right, which is about 1,400 delegates. And so you need the money for the long haul, and that's really where he's having difficulty.
How did he respond to the controversy surrounding his son Hunter and his business dealings with Ukraine?
Well, that's a big part of this interview as well, because that's also the focus of this impeachment inquiry, right? So the former vice president insists that Hunter did nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong in his view. And then he takes the opportunity to talk about how he would do his own White House differently, that children will not serve in the White House. He specifically attacks Jared Kushner, the son-in-law of the vice president, when I asked him, do you think he should be negotiating Middle East peace? And he said, what credentials does he bring to that? And interestingly enough, as you mentioned, the Trump campaign put out this very lengthy statement late last night by their campaign manager defending the qualifications of Jared Kushner to be serving in the White House and negotiating things like Middle East peace. Even Ivanka, who of course has an office in the White House as well.
Children are off limits, but that certainly changed on both sides this time around.
Yes.
Absolutely, yeah.
Is Biden doing things differently this time? He ran back in 1988. He ran in 2008. What's
He
different?
is doing. This is his 3rd run for president. I mean, think about that. He turns 77 in November. He addresses the issue of age. He addresses the issue of whether he's slipped at all and some of the gaffes that he makes in these debates. He says these debates are a learning curve for him. So we'll see a lot of that. I think it's a wide-ranging interview, as I mentioned, where there's
it was interesting to see how confidently he said, I know I'm the front runner.
Yes, and he's confident that not only he will beat his Democratic rivals, but that he will beat Trump like a drum, as we've heard.
Still learning 3rd time around.
Something tells me that the White House will be watching that interview, too, on Sunday night.
No doubt.
Nora, good to see you. Always good to have you here.
Always good to have you here.